I would say that one of the biggest kind of mm, misconceptions of yourself that does sort of lead to a lack of trust and sort of some self-doubt is this thought that you lack self-discipline or you lack willpower when it comes to doing something. You've got this one side of you that knows it wants to do this thing and that it kind of should do this thing, whatever this thing is, to increase your health or push you forward in the right direction, growth and evolution and becoming the person that you really do want to be. You've got this thing and you've got this part of you that knows it and believes it, but then you've got this other part of you that's like, you'll never get there. You're never going to do it. You don't follow through. You always let yourself down. Don't even bother, right? It's like this sort of tug of war between these two versions of your brain going on. And the one that's telling you don't even bother and you can't do it is the one that is thinking about all the times that you've started something and then it's basically setting yourself up for failure because you just never follow through. And that leads to the thought, you don't have any willpower, you don't have any self-discipline, you lack the goods that are necessary to become the person who does these things. And when you have that as your sort of underlying message, then every time you do decide to follow this desire you have, you're going to inevitably end up back in the camp of, see, I told you, you fucked it up again. You let yourself down again. Why even bother? Right. And it's this loop because we have this desire as human beings to grow and become more and evolve. It's a natural part of us. And then sadly, because of this narrative that you've developed, and again, not your fault, it's just a natural thing for a lot of us, of this self-doubt and disbelief in oneself and one's ability. And the starting point would be to sort of call a bit of bullshit on that and come in with, you know what, I actually realize that willpower is a finite resource, right? Like it's not like this thing that exists with us for all the time, 24/7, and that some people have it and some people don't. We all have willpower, and including yourself, even if you don't think you do. I'm here to tell you you do, and you need to tell yourself that you do. And that throughout the day, as you make all of these decisions, you're actually depleting your bucket of willpower until you get to basically having to rebuild it again the next day. So it is a finite resource. And and it goes hand in hand with this whole idea about self-discipline and that you feel like you lack self-discipline, but think about it. You have self-discipline. Every decision you make in the day that is pushing you forward throughout the day is you actually utilizing willpower and self-discipline. Getting up out of bed. I mean, really, like some days, don't you just want to not? But you do anyway, because you have this sense of obligation, this responsibility for whether it's your job or family members or friends or whatever, your pet, whatever it is, you do it anyway, right? Even though you just want to lie in bed all fucking day, you don't. You get up and do the things. Anytime that you bite your tongue or, don't rage out, that is you using self-discipline. That is you resourcing what you do have. You've got it, and yeah, sometimes we lose our shit, right? Because that means sometimes it just gets to be like, what? Like, really? And that's a whole other video because you need an outlet of some sort of all this stuff so you don't get super resentful. But I'm just saying, when it comes to self-discipline and willpower, you've got it. You just don't tell yourself you have it because you're not taking a second to realize that you're using it throughout the whole fucking day because you're doing all the things. And you're doing all the responsible things and all the good for you things. And we don't give ourselves the kudos for just simply getting out of bed, showering. Thank you. Thank you for showering. This is self-discipline because the things, washing the dishes, cooking the food, even if that is going out to get pizza, you're taking care. You're taking care of yourself and your family as best you can, rather than just crumbling into a big ball of, in the fetal position, which is tempting. And maybe some days you do, and that's okay. But again, like I said, that's another video. We're talking about self-discipline and willpower here. We reach a breaking point some days. So please, the first step in order to actually become the person who you want to become, which, by the way, is who you already are. She's already in there, is to realize that your story that you're telling yourself, the narrative that you're creating, we are creators of our experience. So if I'm sitting here telling myself that I lack willpower and I lack self-discipline, but yet I still have this desire for something, and I kind of convince myself, oh, this time it's going to be different. But yet this subconscious and sometimes conscious story is, you don't have the discipline, you don't have the willpower, then I'm setting myself up for not following through simply by default. So I'm saying change the story, change the narrative, and do so, and tell your brain, give it evidence of the fact that you do actually have willpower and self-discipline. Right now, you telling yourself you don't, your brain's going, oh, okay, let's look for all the ways that Sarah doesn't have self-discipline and willpower. And it will. It's on a fact-finding mission. That's what your brain does. So let's change it and see what it feels like to say, oh, actually, you know what? I do have self-discipline and willpower. Interesting. And then let your brain go crazy looking for that evidence instead. That scratching noise in the back is my dog. I hope it's not too distracting. So that's step one. That's what I want you to do for the next, let's call it week, 2 weeks, maybe, of catching yourself and what you're telling yourself about it, this self-discipline willpower thing, and then reframe and say, wait a second, I got up this morning. I didn't tell that person to fuck off in the grocery store today. You know, I didn't say what I really wanted to say in the email because I know that that's not right. That is discipline. You're being disciplined with yourself. Well done. Way to go. Okay. All right. So start there. Change your narrative, guys. That's step one. And really get to know who you actually really are, right? Rather than this negative inner critic thing that we all have and we've all developed for other reasons. Again, it's all connected and it's all convoluted and it's all one big. It's so hard to uh, put these into short videos, because one thing leads to another when it comes to the sort of self-awareness and self-respect and self-trust and all this stuff, and eventually self-love. Yay. Yeah. So, but the start is you got to trust yourself before you can do anything. You got to get to know yourself and trust yourself and gain your self-respect again, right? Internal, right? I know you have respect for yourself in certain areas of your life, absolutely, but I mean like at your core, like at your core. And you got to trust yourself. You got to believe in who you are. And the first step is to show your brain that's been telling you otherwise that, yeah, I actually do have self-discipline. I do have willpower. Look at me go. I got up this morning. Bam, there's one. All right, I'm awkwardly looking for the button. All right, go forth. Tell yourself that this lack of willpower is absolute bullshit. You've totally got willpower. Okay, okay. Talk to you soon.